Hey guys, so here bringing you another video. Now welcome to what is the first Q&A video of 2020. Still sounds really weird to say 2020 out loud, but yeah, we're here, we're in the future everybody. Where's our, flying cars? Anyway, today I asked for some questions on the YouTube community tab, Discord and Twitter. I only asked like a few minutes ago, so I don't really know how much questions we have, but hopefully it will be enough. We'll refresh the pages as we go. The one thing that I did say to the people who are asking the question, I was like, let's try to get some questions that I've hopefully never answered before. I try to avoid questions that I've answered before, usually, but it's not something specifically that I ask, but this time I have. So yeah, hopefully, the early 2020 has gone well for you. Worth reminding people, if you haven't, go watch my New Year's video if you want to know about like how did I think 2019 went and what do I want for 2020, because I've already seen just a very brief, like there are some people saying what do I want from 2020. I made a whole video on it, so if I remember, in the top right up there somewhere there will be a little card click out that you can go watch that video after this one, or watch it then come back to this one. I don't really mind, but yeah. So, here we go. First question is, I remember you being on Necrete's lore quiz some time ago. How much am I interested in League lore? Do I just skim, or do I read the stories, etc.? So yeah, if people don't know, Necrete is a YouTuber that is all about the lore of League of Legends. And he had, I don't know if he still does it, but he used to have a game show that he invited content creators on, and it was like a quiz. And to a lot of him or his community that is really heavily invested into lore, it's probably quite cringy, for people like me that aren't really that big into it. All I remember was, I think one of his first guests was Foxdrop, and I remember I beat Foxdrop's score. I'm sure someone beat mine, probably in the next episode, but it was really fun. As for League of Legends lore, I'm not like crazy into it, but I'm interested in it, if that makes sense. Like, I won't go out of my way to read everything. I haven't really ever read a champion's lore page, if I'm honest, but like I know vague things. Right here, if you see on the camera, that book there, that's the legends of whatever it's called, Realms of Runeterra. It's the new lore book of League of Legends. I've read through that a little bit, not a lot, but yeah, I've got an interest in it, but that's about it. It's an interest. If League, and it is happening, they are expanding how they're giving us stories, that's how I'll probably get my lore. There's I think it's a Netflix series that's coming out probably later this year about Jinx and all that stuff. I'll be watching that. And there's all the new games that I'm sure story-wise will be giving us a lot of story about the world of League of Legends or Runeterra. So yeah, I'll be digesting lore through the other media, but I'm not massively into just sitting down and reading like Renekton's lore page. I know the basics. I know who's in each faction. I know what the factions stand for. I know probably more than a lot of people may think, but that's just because I played the game a long time, and you do pick up things as you go. But yeah. Next up is, how far do I believe in the League's RPG MMO? He said, I read an article some days ago that a writer stated it's going to take time. So yeah, do I think, I guess, that League will do an MMO RPG to basically take on World of Warcraft? Yeah, I think they will, but it's not in the works right now. It's been confirmed it's not in the works right now. So two writers, I think, have said stuff about it. The main one that I think is very on board with doing it is Riot Tryndamere, one of the founders of the game. I don't know what his like. Hang on, is his position president? Maybe I'm gonna check. Mark Merrill. He is co-founder Riot Games, co-creator League of Legends. I don't know. His actual title isn't on his Twitter page, but obviously he's someone very important. He has spoken about it in the past that he wants that to happen. Because let's be honest, when it comes to games making money, MMORPGs are really good for that, like really good. A monthly subscription that makes you obviously stay invested into the game. You want to get, value from it. That's why, like World of Warcraft, there's a bunch of people that have been subscribed to that game for 10 years, like the whole life of the game. You get really attached to it, even more so than League of Legends, because in WoW or in an MMO, you get in a guild. So there's a massive, way bigger social, construct with an MMORPG than there ever would be with League of Legends. So I do think they'll do it. But Yeah, like I think some of them have said maybe in about 5 years' time is what I've heard. You have to remember as well when it comes to game design, MMORPGs are one of the longest genre games that it takes to make. For a couple reasons. One, it's usually massive world building. It's an open world. You know, there has to be many zones, different continents. Everything has to be kind of big, grand scale to fit a lot of players. Then also there's all the server side stuff that you've got to get right. There's a lot to do when it comes to an MMORPG. So I think they'll do it maybe, I'd say, in at least 5 years. Going off the fact if the games upcoming are successful. Even Riot has said they've been Riot Game for 10 years. They are now becoming Riot Games with the card game, the Diablo clone, the shooter. Like, let's see how they do, and if they're a success, then maybe they'll pivot into an MMORPG. But you also have to remember, Riot's main goal with all these new games is definitely not kill League of Legends, like the main game that Riot has. An MMORPG and a MOBA side by side in the same company usually doesn't work. I think the biggest example of that has been Blizzard so far. Heroes of the Storm, there was rumours that the game was literally getting closed. I don't think it's getting closed, but the esports scene is shutting down. They're not really developing it as much. They're not updating it as much. It's because you're kind of trying to split your player base a bit too much, so because those are two big genres of games, MOBAs and MMORPGs. So it'd be interesting, but I do think they'll eventually do it if their upcoming games are successful. Next up is, do I think League is going to be better this year? It's hard to say. I'd like to think so, because I don't think it could have got much worse than what Season 9 was. Like, again, Season 9 started with a completely broken MMR system that, there were gold players getting up in Master with negative win rates. It was absolutely insane that it took a month or something to correct, and it never got fully corrected. It affected the whole season. It's affecting even the game now. So I don't think it can get much worse, but what worries me is Riot has said nothing. They've said nothing about, like, the integrity of ranked. We're doing this year. We're doing this different this year. We've heard your, complaints. Nothing has happened. And, a complaint of mine that I always had when it came to League was their communication was terrible. They got better in the last couple of years, but especially in the ranked department, it's kind of like they've gone back in time to being terrible at communication. So I will praise a guy called Sap Magic. He works at Riot. He was the head of ranked. And, he did pioneer the whole role ranked and the MMR changes. So, a little bit went wrong, but he was really good at communication. And I really respected that. And that's what I love. He stepped down, or whatever happened with head of ranked. He moved on to TFT or something, or League of Legends Mobile or something. And obviously they've had to find a replacement for the head of ranked. I have no idea who that is. They haven't communicated it. That person, if they have communicated, it hasn't done a good job, because I don't know who they are. There's been no announcements. There's been no videos about ranked. So it is a bit worrying that it's kind of like nothing is being said. So, yeah. But the thing with League, and that's the weird thing, is you have to remember, I think statistically, the vast majority of the player base of League doesn't play ranked. So all the complaints that I usually have with League, to the average player who doesn't even play ranked, it doesn't matter. Like, League of Legends as a game is probably quite good, like, to the average player, but the ranked part of it sometimes can go a bit iffy, but obviously as a pretty much pure ranked player, that's what affects me the most. But yeah, League as a whole game is probably not bad right now, but yeah, they got to fix the rank mode if they want it to be like the complete package. Next up is... Is there a champion design/theme direction that hasn't been yet explored that I'd like to see League go down? Oh, wow. Interesting. So yeah, like, I don't know, like a mage, a swordsman, a shield person. I think when it comes to fantasy stuff, they've pretty much covered everything. Like, I'm sure there isn't, but I don't know, like, let's be honest, in the past 5 champions, has there really been any new themes? Not particularly. Like, Set's a punchy guy. Oh god, like, it's hard to remember what everything's new. Aphelios is a gun guy. Like, if you boil it down, it's kind of hard to kind of come up with brand new identities to champions. You just got to pivot off what you've already done when you have nearly 150 champions at this point. Again, I do hope that they are slowing down their champion releases, because there's just too many. The funny thing is now, and there are kind of, murmurs of people saying it, they might need to relook at the ban system in League of Legends pretty soon. Each player gets one ban. Well, that was, they remember, League of Legends about 2 years ago there was only 3 bans per team. And then about 2 years ago, they implemented that every player gets a ban. And that was maybe when the game had 130 champions. There's now going to be 150 very soon. So I don't even know how you do it. Like, have a bonus banned champion. Like, each player, have one extra ban per team. So 6 bans. Because, each player gets 1 ban. And then you vote for another champion to get banned. And then that, whatever the largest percentage is or whatever, or randoms, I guess, that gets banned as well. But yeah, there's just too many. The way that you've got to think of it, if you're watching this video, you're likely a veteran League of Legends player. You've played the game for a few years. If you're new to the game, welcome, but you are in the minority here. And that's what the point is new players must really struggle getting into League of Legends because there's so much more to learn. For me, think about it. I played since Season 1, where maybe there was 40 champions. So I learnt the 40 champions, and then I could just learn each new champion as they came out. A brand new player now doesn't just have 40 champions to learn, and then by release they learn the new stuff. They've got to learn 145 champions straight away, and then the new stuff. It's ridiculous how much you have to learn about the game if you're new to it now. So, yeah. Next up. Am I proud of the community you created, and would you change anything? I'm pretty proud of the community that we've made. Overall, I think we're a really positive community. Recently there's been a whole thing in, especially Twitch, but I think it's content creation as a whole. Do you believe in the community reflects the content creator? So if it's a toxic content creator, usually their community is toxic. I 100% agree with that, whole thing. If you're a nice content creator, you usually have a nicer community. If you're, kind of toxic, you're going to attract toxic people. I 100% agree with that statement because it just makes sense. And we've got a pretty nice community. I think a lot of you guys are competitive, which, again, fits what I'm about. But you're nice on average. With the internet, you always get the occasional kind of meh person, but that's just how the internet is when it's anonymous and you're behind a computer and that. But overall, I'm really happy with the community that we've got. If you're here watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Feel free, by the way, to join the Discord server. Again, all you got to do if you are on Discord, click the little plus on the left-hand side of Discord and just type Huzzy Games in there. It's a partner Discord server, so there's no random letter code. I've got a custom join code, so you can just put Huzzy Games in, you'll join my server, and get involved. There's a big friend group that has been created by being on my Discord and community and stuff, and it's really cool to see. So yeah, I'm really happy with that, and hopefully I'll be able to meet a bunch of you this year. I will be going to more events, and just to, again, tangent off that, if you are potentially in the Londonish area, a week-ish, it's on a Sunday. Let me just get the specific day. I think it's the 12th, maybe? Yes, Sunday the 12th of January. I'm pretty damn sure it's 90% that I'm going to Twickenham Stadium for the XL event. So XL, the LCS team, is putting on a tournament of 4 different teams, 2 of which I think are LCS teams or something. One of them might be Korean, I don't remember. But yeah, it's basically, matches to show that, to train for LCS coming back in 3 weeks. And there's also going to be some fun things going on that you'll be able to 1v1 the pros and stuff. I'm going there as a guest, kinda, an unofficial guest, basically. So I don't think I'm doing anything there. I'm just going to chill, hang out with people, meet some people that I might be in talks with. So yeah, I'm 90% going. So if you are, and by the way, it's completely free. The tickets are free. Go get tickets, and you'll be able to maybe meet me. So yeah, and Vixie's going as well, I'm pretty sure. Well, yeah, she is. So if I'm going, she'll be going. So yeah. Next up is, will I try to play off-meta picks to get diamond? Not really. I don't. I know it's going to sound weird to some people. I don't really see the point in off-meta. When when you're the type of player that I am, I don't see the point in playing off meta. So in League, you obviously have a vast different amount of players, but you can summarize players in different groups, like broad groups. So you've got the one tricks, you've got the one role people, you've got the random people, you've got the meta people, you've got all these different groups of people. I'm a meta person that changes my champion pool as it goes, and you know, sure, I've got some picks that I'll always jump back to, but they'll never really be off meta. They may just be a bit weaker than the actual meta thing. So, for example, Lee Sin, he's fine right now, but a year ago, he hasn't been very good. I'd still play Lee Sin, for example. That's just the way that I am. So, yeah, I'm personally not attached to any champions in League enough to care to play them if they're, like, really weak or out of the meta. Like, if, for example, you're... What's a good example? Nasus. You love Nasus. He is your boy. That's why you play League. Well, you're going to play Nasus whatever. He's off meta, really. Like, you're just going to play him because you love Nasus. I don't have a champion that I'm that connected to do that. Like, I really don't. So I'd rather just play stuff that I know is strong and just continue changing and adapting. Like, there was a comment on the YouTube channel a few days ago going, you know, it was a really flattering comment. It's actually rare to see sometimes in the YouTube comments, but it's like, you're a really good player. You can get to Diamond relatively easy by playing anything. And, you know, yes, I do agree with that. Like, I am. But the reason I can do that, and I'm confident to play anything in Diamond, is because of how much I've changed my champion pool over the years. It's because I haven't stayed on one champion or two champions for, like, 6 months. I constantly am playing new things, which is, you know, it increases my skill of the game in general rather than just one direction. Like, a one trick will be good at really, like, one thing. They'll suck at a lot of things, but be really good at one thing. With me changing my champions and playing a vast amount of champions, you know, maybe my skill doesn't go up as fast as a one tricks would, but it goes up gradually, like, in the whole area of the game, instead of just, like, one area. So that's what I'd say. Next up, are old champions getting outdated since new champions basically have multiple champions in their kit? Yes, 100%. There was even, like, there's not many, well, there's been recent examples in commentaries that I've pointed things out that, like, there are, what was the champion we played even recently? It was like a champion that had some type of Quinn. Quinn felt so old to play her because you couldn't cancel things mid-action. With new champions, you can cancel things mid-action. It was like a very simple thing like that. It just kind of made the champion feel ancient. It was like, God damn, this champion feels old. And yeah, like, the good point is a lot of new champions do feel like multiple champions in one, just because of how much they have in their kit. So, yeah, whoops, I dropped something. So yeah, like, I do agree that older champions are getting outdated, but that's why I've always said, never try to get too attached to a champion because it's eventually going to get reworked. Eventually, it's just the state of things. You know, they are eventually going to update Tryndamere. They are eventually going to update Master Yi. It's going to happen because it has to happen. They get left behind in a lot of avenues if they don't. So yeah, like, look at, you know, they are doing reworks, obviously, and like I mentioned earlier, I do think League is having a problem with too many champions. I've said it for, like, the last couple of years. They need to announce, like, in 2021, we are not releasing any new champions. We are doing 20 reworks throughout the year. Like, that's what they need to do, but whether they do that or not, I'm not sure. The reason why, new champions obviously make them a lot of money. That people want to buy the champion, so they buy Riot points to then buy the champion. New champions also lead to new merchandise. It's like a whole thing, so yeah. Someone again is asking, do I have New Year's resolution? If so, what is it? Again, did a whole video about my New Year's resolutions that you can go watch. Again, you know, whole video. All right, let's answer a couple more. Thoughts on ranged top laners? I think they're fine. I know there are some people that have problems with them, but I think them players are the ones that just don't adapt at all to, like, the game. Like, they're the players that, like, I only play this one specific type of champion and I won't adapt against ranged top laners, therefore I hate ranged top laners and scream and shout about them. Adapt, you know, just adapt to what you need to do. If you're not willing to adapt to ranged top laners, then you can't really complain. So that's what I'd say to that. But also, ranged top laners aren't, you know, the impossible thing. By the time this video gets uploaded, the Darius episode, that was the last Rush the Diamond episode would have been out, that actually might have been today's earlier video. That's a great example. Like, that is a terrible matchup for Darius, but because it's more important about the player. If you're just good at your champion and you'll outplay your opponent, you can beat a ranged top laner. You just got to be smart about it. So, yeah. Why do I not play Skarner? What are my thoughts on Skarner? Do I think Skarner is good in esports? Do I think Skarner would need a VGU? And do I love the concept and design of Skarner? This guy might sound like a Skarner fan, so this may upset you. I think Skarner is one of League's weakest champions. Sorry. Naturally, I think he's really weak. You'll see him in esports occasionally, though, because what I feel Skarner's biggest weakness is doesn't matter in esports. So in esports, what you have is balanced team comps. So, you know, they're not picking things random in like in solo queue. They're not picking things selfishly like in solo queue. They're picking 5 specific champions that work well together and synergize well together with great teamwork. Yeah, you don't have that in solo queue. Therefore, solo queue Skarner to me is basically pointless. Maybe Skarner can work if you're duo queuing all the time and you pick a duo queue champion that can work with Skarner a lot, like, you know, give him slows and a way to catch people. But, you know, I think Skarner is really weak and to me just kind of a bit boring. But if you like him, again, my opinion should never, you know, kind of change yours, but that's why I do not play Skarner. I just think he's very weak, easily countered, and I'm not a big fan of running champions for the most part. And I'd say for the most part I'm not a fan of running champions. I just think Skarner is one of the weakest running champions in the game. Whenever Skarner, by the way, has seen play in solo queue, it's when he's just been overbuffed and then he's just ridiculously overpowered stat-wise, not because the champion itself kit is very good. So, yeah. Next up is, what is the best role to climb with? Jungle, I think, right now, to be honest. You can just have the biggest impact in the game if you're playing well as a jungler, I feel. Oh, you can get your bot lane fed. Oh, you can take the dragons. Oh, you can get your mid laner fed. Oh, you can take Rift Herald. Like, you can just do all of that as a jungler, which, yeah, I don't think really any other role can match. So, yeah. Someone just saying, I'm trying to get into streaming. How do you start? Click the start recording button or start streaming button. I know that sounds weird, but that's as simple as it is. You can't grow without starting. You can't get any traction without just doing stuff. So, yeah. One thing I would say, though, is a terrible way to do it is try to piggyback off others. You know, I see it all the time in my YouTube comment section. One thing worth noting, there is literally pointless to like advertise yourself in YouTube comments because it instantly gets picked up in spam folders. Like if I showed you guys my spam folder of the YouTube comment section, most of it is, hey guys, I'm new to making content, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's just, that's not the place you do it. You know, it's not a great idea that you're trying to build a community by stealing it off somebody else. Do it naturally, you know, try to build it naturally. And if there is a reason to watch you, people may watch you. Again, I'd say it's very hard to do nowadays because of how saturated the market is. Like, even when I started back in Season 3, there was a lot of people doing it. There's probably 5 times the amount of people doing it now than even when I started. So it's pretty hard to get into. But do it for fun. Don't do it for any type of growth. Don't do it for a job. I didn't. No, I'd say successful YouTuber did it really as a job straight away. Or that wasn't the mindset. No one started that successful going, this is going to be my job, because you can't say that. It doesn't. Content creation doesn't work that way. If it does become your job, amazing. But don't have that mentality straight away. Just do it for fun instantly. And if it becomes something, woohoo, amazing. So, yeah. Next up is, we'll have a little looky. Just having to do a refresh is, do I think that a mage champion with a hook could be healthy and balanced? It's a bit of it's a bit of a non-question really, because that all depends about like the rest of their kit, the scaling of the kit. Like, it's not really something that I can answer, because, yeah, there's no context to it. Like, what's the other 3 abilities after the hook? What's the scaling like? Are they early game or are they late game? You know, there's so much more to that. Like, would a mage be, in theory, fine with a hook? Yeah, in theory, it's completely fine. But it depends on so many more factors that we don't have the information for. But, yeah, in theory, it'll be all right. Let's have a look over here. Again, a lot of questions about people worrying, by the way, about Season 10. See, with how many things that we're getting about Season 10, and I'm looking on all the places I asked the question in, this is why Riot really probably need to do communication about Season 10. That, you know, trust me, I've had a bit of conversations with Rioters about Season 9. None of them thought it was a good season. At all. They know they mucked up. Yet, there's been no communication about it at all. That makes me nervous. So, yeah. So I am a bit worried, if I'm honest, and, you know... Right, do we have a couple more questions? Yeah, so here's one. Would I be interested in single-player games made through Riot Forge about the characters that haven't offered real counterplay in the main game? Okay, and then should Yuumi face some kind of penalty if the champion she attaches to dies? I mean, she kind of does. How would I balance Zoe? A lot of questions here, actually. So we'll go through them, I guess. Would I be interested in the single-player games through Riot Forge? Yes, I will be playing probably some of them. We might even make videos for some of them as well, as long as you guys are interested. They'll probably be second videos of the day. But if you don't know what Riot Forge is, you missed the announcement. So along with all the games that Riot themselves is making, Riot has launched something called Riot Forge. Now, the way that you've got to think about it is basically it's Riot becoming a publisher, and all the games under Riot Forge are not technically made by Riot. They're made by other developers, but they're set, I think, in the League of Legends or Runeterra universe, and they're published by Riot. So it will basically allow Riot to make 20 games in a year, but not really make them. They'll just like approve them, they'll put comments on them, maybe they'll throw a couple of their designers in that team doing the game, but it will not be technically a Riot game. It'll be a Riot Forge game, so published by Riot, developed by another company. Like, that's very standard. If you look at, like, say, EA doesn't really make games. They have game studios that they own, but EA themselves is just a publisher. The same with Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't really make games. They have designers under them, design houses, design studios, and then Microsoft publishes them. That's what Riot is looking to do. So yeah, Riot's going crazy and trying to take over a lot of the gaming market, which is cool to see. But my only fear with it is, should they do everything set in Runeterra is a question in the back of my mind. Like, is there going to be just too much Runeterra stuff? Like, let's face it, a lot of these games are probably going to keep to relatively popular champions like Yasuo and stuff. What if, like, in 2020, 6 games are released that have Yasuo in it? It'd be like, God, there's just too much Yasuo. That could be a problem. So we'll see. So yeah, next one is Yuumi face some kind of penalty if the champion, she attaches to dies. I mean, usually Yuumi dies when that happens, because Yuumi, if there's no one else around to jump to, Yuumi can't escape. But they're saying, should she be micro-stunned, feared, knocked up? I guess a cool thing would be if she got feared for like a 0.5 second fear, because think about it, she's attached to somebody, they die. Yuumi being the character she is, she'd probably freak out. Oh my god, the person I was attached to died. It would kind of make sense if she got feared, but Yuumi right now is basically worthless in a lot of avenues, and I called it. She is not a solo queue champion at all. Never going to be. It's the way of things. You cannot have a champion that is permanently like attaching to others and being reliant on others' positioning in solo queue. It just sucks. In duo queue it can work. In pro play it can work. But in solo queue it's rubbish. So I don't think she's really a problem anymore. She was just a problem when she first got released in a way because her stats were overpowered, like most champions that are released. Riot just has them a bit too overtuned originally. How would I balance Zoe? Honestly, I think she's a champion that never can be truly balanced. She'll either be really weak or she'll be really strong, and that's just because of her kit. I know I'm going to say this, but Vixie's going to kill you for saying it. Me and Vixie are like good friends, and it doesn't matter that we have different opinions about a champion in League. I play Zoe occasionally because I see how strong she is, but I don't think she's healthy for the game. What I mean by that is it takes a lot of skill usually to pull off Zoe. She does have weaknesses. If someone plays aggressive and goes in her face, sure. But the average mid laner doesn't do that. The average mage cannot deal with a Zoe. That a Zoe has basically one-shot potential, or at least let's say half health potential, from a relative safe play every 10 seconds. there's not another league champion that can do that. Like it doesn't exist. You know, I've said that before on stream, but what about Diana? Yeah, Diana has to go in melee range to do that. Zoe can like be half a screen away, you know, use all of her mobility with her ultimate and then bounce back completely kind of safe every 10 seconds. So I don't think she'll ever be balanced. So yeah. Next up is, do I think Riot should bring back Nexus Blitz or Twisted Tree Line or create a new casual game mode? I think 100% they need to. So a big complaint that I've been actually seeing within the community recently is that there's no quick game mode anymore. Like, nothing. You know, ARAMs now take longer than I think they used to. Like an ARAM, I'd say, averages 20-25 minutes. League games average half an hour. TFT matches, if you're doing well, average 35 minutes. Like, League doesn't have a quick 10-15 minute game mode, and I think it really needs one. And a good shout that I saw is, if any of you have ever played Smite, it's another MOBA. It's a bit different. It's a lot more casual, but it's good. They have a mode called Arena. It's actually statistically more popular than the actual MOBA game mode. And Arena is... think of it like ARAM. So there's only one main lane. It's in a big circular arena, but there are minions, and the point of the game is to get your minions to the enemy base, and they do the damage to the enemy base by going into like a portal. It's really fun, and it's constant fighting, and yeah, it's pretty damn competitive too. The meta is completely different in arena mode than it is on their Summoner's Rift equivalent. I honestly think Riot could do an arena mode, you know, make it a 15-minute mode. After 15 minutes, you could hard cap it. Start every champion at level 6, you know, not level 1. Start every champion at level 6, have everybody start with like a completed item so that the game is straight away faster pace. And then at 15 minutes, if either base hasn't been destroyed, whichever team has lower points loses. Like, you could hard stop that game at 15 minutes. I honestly think that would be really good for League. So maybe that is something that Riot should push, and the community should keep bringing it up. Because trust me, a game designer is going to listen to somewhat the community. And if there is a big, like, dude, we need a 15-minute game mode, I don't, you know, because, like, I've had it. Oh, I've got half an hour, like, you know, spare right now. I want to play some League. I legit cannot really go into a League game right now at all. Even ARAM, I don't feel comfortable. If I've got a spare half an hour and I'm like, okay, I've got to leave the house in half an hour, what can I do? I cannot right now play a single game of anything League. I can't play ARAM, I can't play a Summoner's Rift game, I can't play a TFT match, because all of them have the potential to go over half an hour. And I think that's a really big problem. So I do think that they need to do something about that. And I think that will probably be it. What I will do is, well, actually, this person, they said, on a final note and totally unrelated note, my weight loss journey has been successful and I look great. What do I think are sort of some of the trendy diets going around, like keto or Whole30? I don't know what Whole30 is. I've heard so much bad about them, and have family friends considering them, or even deep. What I might say is slightly controversial here. My history of looking at people that hate these type of diets, okay, brace yourself, it's controversial, are big people that have tried them and it didn't work for them, or they're big people that think being big is fine. Yeah, like generally, like I saw a thing and I was like, in a way, like disgusted by the behavior of people on Twitter. Adele, you know, the singer Adele, crazy good weight loss journey, amazing for her, she looks great. There was people attacking her for just her showing her weight loss. And it was like, what are these, like, who are these people? Like, it was literally just blowing my mind up. Like, I was pretty unhealthy for 5 years. I'm finally fixing it now. I'm in a pretty good place right now. And, you know, as an off tangent, today, something that I've wanted to own for a long time is a really nice leather jacket, but I've never bought one because I was like, oh, I'm a bit big, I want to lose the weight. I finally bought one. It's a size medium. It fits really nicely. That made me over the moon of I can now fit into a nice medium leather jacket. But these people that attack people for losing weight would make me feel bad for like going down to a medium. I used to be, not even that long ago, 4 or 5 months ago, XL in everything, and in some brands XXL. I'm now medium. So It's insane to me. You know, lose weight. Trust me, you feel a lot better. Don't listen to these crazy people that are like, oh, you shouldn't lose weight. Being big is really healthy. No, it's not. Like, scientifically, no, it's not. Like, Jesus Christ, you're putting strain on your body. You're putting strain on your heart unnecessarily. So it took me 5 years to do the click. Never force yourself really to lose the weight. You need that click moment to make it work. For me, the click moment was getting invited randomly to the League of Legends 10 anniversary event. I don't know why, you know, it just happened. That's what clicked for me to lose the weight. But I would recommend it. But what do I think of the diets? Do what works for you. It's that simple. Like, don't really listen to other people. Do what works for you and listen to your body. If you're listening to your body and your body is saying, nope, do not want this, I'm dying right now, don't do it. So what I do is I'm quite hardcore, obviously, in what I've been doing. That's why the results I've had in 3.5 months have been pretty crazy. But I do 1 meal a day. Every day. You know, I had a little break over Christmas, but I'm back on it now for the last 3-4 days. And 1 meal a day, every day. There is no snacking. I literally eat 1 meal a day, the end. I don't eat anything else in the day, and I don't have carbs. But I might have carbs 1 meal a week. So just to kind of give me a bit of carbs, 1 meal a week. And usually that meal, by the way, is before my heavy gym day. So I do a heavy gym day that is with my trainer. So when I'm with my trainer, I obviously go for PBs, I push myself. That's when I'll have carbs, because obviously you kind of need carbs for that. But every other day I cut carbs. So my day-to-day meal is I have eggs pretty much every single day, and I have a meat with those eggs. So I'll have a steak and eggs, or I'll have fish and eggs, or I'll have bacon and eggs. And I vary up the eggs, so usually I have scrambled egg is the go-to, but with bacon, usually I have poached egg instead of scrambled egg. You know, that's what you got to do. And then with sauces, you know, I'm not going to completely just be like a machine that doesn't have like much flavour. I'll have some barbecue sauce, and obviously try to go for like less sugary ones, but I'll have some barbecue sauce. I'll have some sweet chili sauce. I'll have actual chili sauce. Like, that's what I do. That's how I eat. And then the way that I kind of, you know, people wonder, how do you live throughout the day? I'll have stuff like this. Like, it's a cafe latte, skinny, very, very little sugar coffees. So I have coffees throughout the day. I drink a lot throughout the day, and it's fine. Like, I feel good. I feel better than I was when I was eating 3 meals a day with like having a McDonald's or something. Like, way better. And you know, actual weight loss, I've probably got about 10 more pounds of actual weight loss to go. I weigh 177 pounds right now. My goal is be in the 160s. And then it's all about just fitness, toning, muscle mass. So yeah, 2020 is going to go pretty good, I think, for that. But anyway, that's going to be the Q&A. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This was the first Q&A of 2020. I think we actually went for quite a long time, which I didn't mean to do, but that's just the way that it goes sometimes. But if you guys did enjoy, throw a like on the video. If you've got any more questions, feel free to put them down below. I will try my best to get to them, you know, just typing to you guys. But yeah, thanks everybody for what you do. Have a great 2020. I really do wish you guys the best for it. And remember, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch my New Year's video as a reflection on 2019 and a look to 2020, because that might also answer some questions that you may have too. But that's going to be it. Like, subscribe, comment down below. See you guys next time. See you.